today's class. Last week, I had taken 2 consecutive classes with you on Wednesday, and I remember having covered a good bit of the theory of communication or the introductory lecture in communication, where we had been talking about the nature and scope of communication and the process of communication, also, right? So we had spoken about that. Will you just refresh my mind up to which part we had discussed the last time? Any one of you, please? Somebody please update me about how far we had discussed the last time. If not, then I have to ask you. Yes? Adarsh, could you update me about how much we have discussed last time? Adarsh Pandey.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please do update me. Just refresh my mind.
So informal networks.
Okay, we had been doing the networks of communication and we had reached up to the informal networks. Okay, fine. So, just to have a very brief recap of the first part of communication, we had looked at what communication is, we had looked at the elements of communication, how it occurs. Then we had seen the process of communication, and I had given this diagrammatic representation of the whole process. Okay, and we had seen the how the idea is sent across to the receiver in the coded form and how it is decoded, and the feedback is sent back to the sender. And we had also looked at the different kinds of feedback. So feedback can be of various types, we had noted over there. So we had looked at the different kinds of feedback also, and what is the way in which communication, what are the ways in which communication helps us in interacting with other people in a more effective way. Okay. After that, we had gone on to the to the topic of the channels and networks of communication. Okay, and what I had spoken about last time was mainly about the formal networks of communication, not the informal ones, so to speak, because I had been discussing what happens inside the organization. So I said that communication can be of 2 types: internal and external. Internal, when it takes place within the organization, where there are different directions in which messages flow: upwards, downwards, lateral, and diagonal. Okay, and we had mainly discussed what are the ways in which these messages travel and how they are transmitted within the organization. And I said that if it takes place outside or external, and if it is a formal transmission, then it will also follow these kinds of directions. But if it is informal, whether it is inside the organization or outside, mostly it is inside, then it will follow a different network. Okay, so this is what I'm going to discuss about today. That is, I'm going to talk about the informal network in communication, which is very important. This is the grapevine. Now, you get a separate short note on the grapevine often, so you have to know all the details about it. So, let me explain. You have to know what the grapevine is, what is its structure, what are its characteristics, and how managers can make effective use of the grapevine. Now, uh, first of all, before we look at the grapevine, the thing that we have to look at is what is the difference between a formal and informal network anyway. Okay, So, what are informal networks? Now, you have gathered what formal networks are. Formal networks are the channels by which communication takes place between people in their official roles and relations. So, if the area manager talks to the branch manager, then it is a formal communication over the phone. Talks meaning, suppose they have a talk in a meeting or they talk to each other in a formal phone conversation. But suppose the area manager talks to the branch manager when they are having a cup of coffee in the canteen. Is that a formal communication? If the area manager talks to the branch manager in a meeting, it's a formal communication. But if the area manager talks to the branch manager over a cup of coffee in the canteen, is it a formal communication?
No, sir.
No.
No, it is not. Okay. Unless, of course, that cup of coffee is had inside the meeting, that's a different thing. But otherwise, it is not. So, all the networks or all the connections that take place between people outside the formal networks, these are casual, spontaneous, okay, and do not follow the official or prescribed channels. These are the informal networks. Okay. Now, the content of these messages which are transmitted over these informal networks is also relatively unstructured. Unstructured meaning, suppose I write an email to a supplier, then naturally I'll have to script that email in a proper way. I cannot just say, "Hi, can you send me 10 photocopying machines tomorrow?" Okay, just send them across. Okay. So I can't, you know, address the supplier in that breezy kind of way. It's just not done. So I have to send the email in a structured fashion. But if I have a chat with someone, I do say, "Hi, would you like to join me for a cup of coffee? Please do come over. We'll have some coffee." Okay, so that is relatively casual, spontaneous, unstructured. Okay, and it can move freely in all directions. That is, I can have a conversation with the managing director, or I can have, you know, some kind of talk with the area manager, um, or I can have a talk with the supervisor or anybody like that. Okay, so it's very much possible that I can have that with anybody. Okay, so it's not that I have to speak to somebody in the upward direction only or somebody in the downward direction only. And I can have this sort of communication. It's very freewheeling, as you can understand. I can have a spoken communication, I can have a written interaction, I can even use body language. Let's say that um, I am sitting at my desk and my supervisor is also sitting at my desk, and somebody is saying something to us, and we don't talk really, but we just raise our eyebrows at each other. So I mean, he's trying to say and I'm also trying to say that what kind of message is this. Okay, so we are exchanging some sort of meaning with one another. Now, the most important of all these informal networks is the grapevine, as it is called. Now, anybody knows what is the meaning of grapevine? I'm not talking about the actual grapevine or the plant, okay, where grapes are grown. Certainly not. This is a network inside the organization which is called the grapevine. When you hear something which is off the record, okay, often you hear it on the grapevine. They say that, "Where did you hear this?" Okay, say that, "I heard it on the grapevine." Okay, so what is that? What is grapevine? Anybody knows? Actually, Rahul Kumar, who has just joined. Rahul Kumar RK. I don't know whether you come from RK Studios or not, but you seem to be assigning yourself as RK. So, Rahul Kumar, could you respond, please? Why are you joining the class at 11:13? Rahul Kumar RK. Please do respond.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello, good afternoon, sir. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. So why
Yes,
are
sir.
you
Uh,
joining at
some
11:13?
some reason, sir, हो गया था इसलिए.
Okay. What is this reason? If I may ask, that is without being too inquisitive.
सर डॉक्टर के पास जाना पड़ गया था.
Okay, I see. Okay, but please do say it in English. Okay. Okay. All right. Fine. I will excuse you this time, but please do try and join the class in time. Okay. All
Okay,
right.
okay, sir.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, sir. Next time.
All right. Fine. Yes. So anybody knows what this grapevine is? It is a network. Okay. When we talk about, we are not just talking about corporate communication. When we talk about, let's say, the gossip network that we have in our neighborhood, we also say that we heard it on the grapevine. Okay. So it is a network by which people have a lot of gossip, talk, and chit chat with one another. Okay. That is called the grapevine. So it's an informal network. In fact, we can say that the grapevine is the most powerful of all the communications networks inside the organization. What does it consist of? It consists of gossip, small talk, scandals, rumors, and whatnot. Oh, the boss is going to Singapore tomorrow, but he told us that he's going on an office tour. Okay, so actually he's going on a holiday. So, how did you hear this? Did you hear it because somebody sent you an official note? No. Did somebody send an email? No. You heard it by word of mouth because people were gossiping. Okay, so that is the information that we get from the grapevine. Okay, Ravi Singh. What happened? Ravi Singh, who has just joined. Please do tell me why are you joining so late? Ravi, Ravi Singh, please respond. Ravi Singh, who has just joined. Please tell me why you are joining so late. Ravi, could you please respond? Ravi Singh, who has just joined. Could you please tell me why you have just joined? Ravi, could you please explain why you have just joined? No? Can you type in the chat box? Okay, Piyush is typing in the chat box that my slide is not visible. Is it visible to everybody?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Okay. Okay, then
Yes, sir,
Piyush, I
it's
don't know.
visible.
Okay, thank you. I don't know.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, visible.
It's visible. Okay, fine. So Piyush, I don't know why you're having this problem. It might be due to some connectivity issue, but I think the slide is visible. Yes, Ravi, where are you? Ravi, so it sounds like Ravi Singh. It sounds like I'm standing on the bank of the river. Okay, and okay, Jeet Kole is saying that it is not visible. Jeet, I don't know why that is happening. It should be visible.
Sir, I
I
think
think
I have some severe network issue.
okay, it's some networking issue. Okay, don't worry. I will be sharing the video of the class later on. Okay, so you will be
Okay.
getting all the slides over there.
Hello.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
you're Ravi, right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Ravi, why did you join the class so late? I was just asking that.
Sir, some. Hello.
Yes, some what?
Some network problem, sir.
Network problem. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Please try and join on
Sir, I
time.
have a question.
Yes, please ask. Thank you,
Sir,
Ravi.
due to my health issue, I have not attended the yesterday class, last class
Okay.
actually.
Mhm.
So can I get the recording, please, sir?
Yes, yes. When I make the recordings, I will be sharing the recordings with you
Sir, I
also.
also need the recordings.
Yes, yes, sure. When I share the recording, when I upload the recordings, then I will share the links with you. Okay, you will be able to access them from there. Okay, thank you. You can mute yourself. When you
Okay, thank
get
you.
the PDF, okay, what kind of PDF are you talking about? Shudabi, it is not clear to me. I will share the class recordings later on. What PDF are you talking about?
Sir, I think they're talking about the PowerPoint presentation.
Okay, no, I mean, why should I send the PowerPoint to you? Because that is the teaching material of the class. So I will be sharing the class video. So you'll be able to get the PowerPoint slides, but the information that is there in the slides will be there in the video. Okay, so you can access it from there. Right. So to go back to what I was discussing, the grapevine, or you can say it's a kind of gossip network. It consists of all the small talk, gossip, scandals, okay, that people have with one another. And this is something in which all people at all levels in the organization, they take part, not just somebody at the basic you know level of the workers, but somebody at the very high up levels also. So everybody has interest in some sort of gossip or the other. Some people might be more interested, other people might be less interested. That is all. And this also exists in every organization. So some people might say that in our organization nobody gossips, okay, but that is absolutely not true, because this sort of network is there in every single organization. It's all there. And you have some network or the other where people gossip with one another. And this is colored by all their ideas, prejudices of all these people. You will not get things in black and white over there, or, rather, I should say, you will not get things in their true perspectives or colors over there. You will get all kinds of distorted opinions and perspectives over there. Okay? This is the thing. Now, how does this grapevine operate, and what are the structures of this grapevine? Now, there are four basic types of this grapevine: single strand, gossip, probability, and cluster. Now, what is the single strand? Now, let me go on to the diagram in the next slide. Here, here you can see the diagram. The single strand is when, for example, you have this chain in the first diagram on the left. One person A says something, or conveys some information to B. B passes it on to C. C passes it on to D, and so on to the person ad infinitum. Okay, so infinity gossip goes on to the power of infinity. So it's like a serial chain. Okay, that it goes on. Okay, one says to another, another says to another, and so on. Understand? This is the single strand where the information is passed in a long line serially to the ultimate person who is at the end of the spectrum. So that last person is not there. Literally, always it's goes going on and on. Now, the second one is the gossip chain, gossip network, in which one person seeks out other people. Now, see the second diagram from the left. So this is the gossip one, where we have uh, one person seeking out the others and conveying that information to them. Okay, A gets hold of B and says, this happened. A gets hold of D and says, this happened. A gets hold of C and says, this happened. A gets hold of G and says, this happened. Like this to everybody. Okay. Then there is probability, or it is a random process in which the information is passed on to others in a non-selective kind of way. Um, this is the one. In probability, A seeks out F and G, but A doesn't seek out B. Okay, B is left out. Now A gets hold of K and but doesn't get hold of E and C. Okay, so like this. Okay, it's a random process. And there is cluster also, where the information is passed on to the others in whom the person has confidence. So confidence meaning that person is close. So A is close to D and C, so tells them, but A is not close to another person, J, so doesn't tell that person. Like this. Okay, so these are the structures of the grapevine. Right. So you can understand, according to Keith Davis, I had given the definitions of communication the last time, I think, or was that the time before last? Anyway, I had given the definitions, and one of those definitions was by this expert called Keith Davis. Now, Keith Davis has given us this classification of the grapevine into four basic types. So these are the types: single strand, gossip, probability, and cluster. Okay. Now you see that some people are more active as far as this spreading of information or rumors is concerned. So over here, who is the person who is most active in all the four networks?
Sir, A.
Right, absolutely correct. Okay, so you can see that this person A is most active in spreading this kind of information or rumors. So in all organizations, there are some people. So this is one person, but actually it is not just one person. So there are a few people who are very active as far as spreading information on the grapevine is concerned. Now, spreading information on the grapevine can be potentially very dangerous because, as I said, that you will not get true perspectives over there. All the information that you will get, this is not official information. It is information which has been derived from some unknown source, which is taken from some official source and colored by other people's ideas and opinions. So things can get really distorted over there on the grapevine, and some rumors can be potentially very damaging for the organization also. Okay, so if the people who are in the managerial level, they allow the grapevine to go out of all proportion, then it will be very dangerous for the safety and security of the organization. Okay, so what should good managerial people do? They have to keep a close watch on these people, like A, for example. So there are a couple of people like that. So they have to keep a close watch on these people who are operating very powerfully on the grapevine or in the informal networks like the grapevine. So they need to keep a tab on them. But is it possible to totally control the grapevine or to eliminate the grapevine, do you think? Do you think that the people at the managerial level can completely eliminate the grapevine?
No, sir, it can't be
It
eliminated.
cannot be done. You cannot stop people from gossiping or talking ultimately. Okay, so there are some things, or there are a few things which are beyond human control. Okay, so this is like that. Human nature, it goes against human nature if you say that somebody will never gossip at all or never talk, okay, outside official matters. So we might say that don't gossip, okay, or don't talk, okay, or we do discourage this sort of thing. Yes, in some organizations, the tendency to indulge in small talk might be less. In some organizations, it might be a bit more. But there cannot be any organization where this sort of network is totally absent. So it's not possible for people at the managerial level to eliminate the grapevine ever. But they can and they should, keep a close watch on the grapevine, because otherwise they will not be able to control them. Okay, now what sort of content does this grapevine really have? Let's see, and some of the characteristics of the grapevine. Now the content of the grapevine is very, very heterogeneous. It's very, very miscellaneous, it's diverse, and it is all unverified because it consists of truth, lies, half truths, all kinds of things which are mixed up together. Now, the messages in the grapevine are relatively unstructured and they can be edited and distorted at will. Like, I can say, what my boss said, and then I add something to that. And then my colleague says that, what my colleague was saying. So he adds something to that. So that way, the messages can be added or subtracted to whenever one likes. This is not like an official email. If I have got the official email meaning X. Okay, but here it can be X plus Y, or it can be X plus Y plus Z plus X. Okay, so I can distort the message in whatever way I like. Okay, also the speed of transmission of the grapevine is very, very rapid. Okay, so you know the kind of speed at which rumors travel. So they travel pretty fast. Okay. Now the stories or gossip sometimes circulating inside the organization become very powerful. Okay. And the adverse impact of this is that they often result in groupism and power politics. Now, what is the meaning of groupism? Groupism means that suppose you have a small group, or sometimes they are called lobby. Okay, so people say in Bengali, I think lobby baji. Okay, so this is a term which is very popular. Now, what they mean is that these people are indulging in groupism, or they are indulging in forming small groups which operate to have control of power in their own hands, and they fight against others. Okay, all this is extremely bad, and it has a negative impact on the culture and the atmosphere of the organization. But people do indulge in all these things. Okay, what is power politics? If somebody can tell me, what is power politics? Somebody can tell me. In the meantime, let me deal with this person who is trying to join. Krishna Das or Krishna Das? Who is it? Why are you joining the class now? It is 11:30. Yes? Were you also having network problems? Krishna or Krishna? I cannot make out from the name. I'm not that familiar with all the names right now. And the profile picture that you have is the picture of what is this? I cannot make out. The picture is that of a person with a machine gun. This is a sketch. It is in this layer. This is from some game, I think. Yes, Krishna or Krishna, whoever you are, please do identify yourself. And there is another person, Abhijit Singh. Abhijit Singh at least is identifiable from the picture. So Abhijit Singh, who has just joined, and Krishna or Krishna, what is the problem? Why are you joining so late? Would you please tell me what was the problem? Abhijit Singh, what was the problem? Why are you joining so late? Please respond. Abhijit Singh and Krishna or Krishna Das, please do respond and tell me why you are joining at 11:30. Yes, Abhijit, are you there? Abhijit, please respond or type in the chat box. Abhijit, if you do not respond, I will be compelled to remove you from the meeting. Abhijit, please respond. Abhijit is not responding. So, Abhijit, since you are not interested in responding, so I think you can leave the meeting altogether. There's no point in wasting the time like this. Okay, I have to teach, isn't it? What about Krishna or Krishna? No response.
हेलो सर
Yes.
सर मैं 11:15 से वेटिंग में था सर.
So why are you there at 11:15 or 11:15?
11:15 से मैं आस्किंग पे ज्वाइन कर रहा था, इसलिए कोई ज्वाइनिंग नहीं कर रहा था सर. और मेरा थोड़ा घर में थोड़ा प्रॉब्लम था, इसलिए थोड़ा लेट हो गया. सॉरी सर.
Okay, don't be late like this next time.
थैंक
Okay.
यू.
Okay.
ओके सर.
All right. Fine. Okay. Let me go back. What is power politics here? This was a question that I asked. Anybody can tell me what is power politics? What kind of politics is power politics? So here you hear a lot about politics, right?
Hello, sir.
Yeah,
Sir, am I audible?
yeah, you're clearly audible. Tell me.
I'm not sure about the meeting, but is it an intention to increase one's influence by political means?
Yes, you're on the right track, actually. Yes, correct. Thank you, Shomaru. I think we can say that power politics means that I am trying to increase the leverage or the political power or influence I have by networking or associating with other people. Now, I think very common example of that is what we see with all these politicians trying to form small factions or groups with one another. Okay, they are always trying to increase their power or political impact. Okay, anyway, that is not really something that we are interested in, but anyway, we have to understand. So, people try to increase their influence inside the organization also by these means, by using the grapevine as their tool or as the network. Okay, so we can say that it has a very harmful impact. But at the same time, as I said, it is not possible to eliminate the grapevine altogether. One can never do that. In fact, the grapevine has got a lot of harmful potency, but it has some utility value also. What are the impacts of the grapevine? Now, it can lead to a lot of segregation and alienation of people. Segregation means separation of people one from the other. Okay, so if you indulge in power politics and groupism, then naturally people will get segregated from one another. And alienation also. Some people might be left out altogether out of the groups and they will feel alone, they will feel isolated, they will feel insecure, they might be very unhappy also. And this might be deliberately done. Now, it has got a lot of harmful consequences. Now, but the grapevine is also a good source of information to many employees, including the people at the managerial level. Often you hear things very fast on the grapevine, even before the official information has come in. Okay, so it's a very useful source of information, and the peer contacts and interdepartmental exchanges save a lot of official time. Okay, so peer contacts, what does it mean? Peer to peer contacts. That means people at the same level when they interact with one another. So let's say that I want to get some information. Let's say that we have been asked to submit some official document. Now, I want to get some information, but I don't want to send an email to the head of the department or my supervisor because it will take time. They will ask questions. Why is this that you are asking? Is it not clear to you? And things like that. So I don't want to do that. So what I do is I just make a phone call to another colleague in another department and say that, do you know what this is about? How we can write this? And he tells me. Okay. So we have done this not through our official channel, but through our personal relations, through our grapevine. Okay. And this way, a lot of official time and all has been saved. And the utility value, the other thing that's very important is that it acts as a safety valve in the organization. Now, when you think about the safety valve, I think a good way to think is of the pressure cooker. What happens inside the pressure cooker? The pressure builds up and ultimately it is released through the safety valve. Sorry. So, inside the organization, also, if the employees do not have any outlet to express their views or their personal opinions, then the tension and stress will keep building up to such an extent that one day it might burst and it can have a very damaging consequence. So, the outlet for this is really provided by the grapevine. Okay, so it has a good psychological de-stress factor. So I can say that the grapevine has a lot of use also, okay, as a stress buster. In any case, as I said, the managers they cannot totally eliminate the grapevine. It's just not possible to do that. In fact, the grapevine, the good comparison to make is with a multi-headed hydra. It's like a snake with many different heads. If you cut off or chop one head, other heads will grow in that place. Now, no manager can afford to ignore or completely disregard the grapevine, but what can be done is to keep a tab or keep a check on the important players of the grapevine. Like we saw that A or other people like A are playing a very key role in the grapevine. So keep a tab on what they are doing, and without curbing people's freedom to talk or placing restrictions on the growth of rumors, one can, allow people to talk, but at the same time keep a check on overall what people are saying. One can also use, or by one I mean to say the managers, they can also use as a testing mechanism. Like they release some information over there on the grapevine and see how people on the grapevine are responding to it. So from the response that people are making, they will be able to guess what will be the impact of this kind of measure if I implement it in an official way. You can judge the official response by checking the unofficial response. Okay, so that is how the grapevine can be a testing mechanism. So let me just sum up once more what I said over here. A grapevine is like a multi-headed hydra. It has got many different heads. So you try to curb it in one place, it will grow in another place. It is very difficult to control. One cannot eliminate it altogether at all, but you can try and control it and keep it in check. So what is the important way to do that is to keep a check or to keep a tab on the important players of the grapevine, and don't place restrictions, total restrictions on people's talking, but try to place some restrictions on the unrestricted spread of rumors, and use the grapevine as a kind of a testing mechanism. The utility of the grapevine also lies in the fact that it can act as a safety valve inside the organization, by which the uncontrolled stress which would build up if people were not allowed to exchange small talk with one another, that can find some outlet or release. So the conclusion to this would be that we have to keep information flowing both through formal and the informal channels. And we should keep the formal interactions specific, clear, as well as well formatted. And we give some freedom for informal interactions, but not unlimited freedom. And we also inculcate a sense of responsibility for effective communication. We know that if you are an employee of the organization, you need to have a sense of responsibility, and you need to remember that when you are communicating. Okay, so I have rounded off the discussion of formal as well as informal networks inside the organization, so you can digest this information. Okay, and then I will just discuss begin another topic with you. Just think it over. If you have any questions, or if you have any clarifications on whatever I have taught you so far, you please think on it, and you can either tell me or write it in the chat box. So you do not have anything to ask or clarify. Rudunil Sen is writing, can you please send the PDF in the WhatsApp group? So I think, Rudunil, I have already mentioned that I do not send the PowerPoints in the class, okay, because this is teaching material. I will share with you later on once I upload the recordings to YouTube. I will share the link of the class recordings, okay, where you can access whatever I have taught in the class. Okay, the next topic that I will be discussing, I would just like to begin that today before I end. So that is verbal and non-verbal communication, where we are going to talk about expressions through these different modes of verbal as well as non-verbal. And we are going to look at the different varieties or types of non-verbal communication like haptics, proxemics, kinesics, and so on. Now, what is the difference between verbal and non-verbal, so to speak? Okay. Uh, Now, language being the most important tool of communication, the words that we use and their variations, they are the most important ones as far as verbal communication is concerned. Now, but outside words also, we do communicate. That is communication without words through facial expressions, bodily gestures, okay, through our nearness and distance with others. These non-verbal modes also reinforce the verbal communication that we have through words. Okay, so verbal communication relates to the use of words. So all communication relating to the use of words in language and speech is verbal. Okay, and this includes spoken language as well as written language. Okay, now non-verbal would include a lot of things, including movement, posture, tone of voice, evoking many different kinds of ideas and emotions, and it is language without words, okay, but sending out powerful signals, and it is quite important in the corporate world also. Okay, what is this language without words? Now, here we have the different varieties of non-verbal communication. So that includes posture, for example, the body movements, like if I'm sitting with bending forwards, that is one kind of posture, or if I'm sitting in a very relaxed manner, stretching backwards, that is another posture. So body postures, okay. Appearance, for example, you have a very tidy, neat and clean appearance, or another person appears in an interview in a very untidy fashion. So that is one thing. Head movements like nodding one's head, shaking one's head from side to side, or tilting the head on one side with chin cupped on the hand. Okay, so these kinds of head movements, or other head movements like waving, eye movements like winking, blinking, or keeping half closed eyes, okay, or widely opening the eyes, staring, all these things. Facial expressions like frowning, um, or smiling, okay, or body contact, shaking hands with people, okay, gripping people's hands or clapping people on the back, okay, closeness, okay, invading somebody's personal space, sounds like laughing, giggling, snorting, ways of talking, tone of voice, all these things. Okay, so you can understand that it's a very, very complex and diverse area, okay, of non-verbal communication. Now, I will be talking in details about that the next day. Uh, at the moment, I think I will just pause for today. All of you, please, for attendance, type your names in the chat box. Please type your names in the chat box for attendance. Also, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to raise them. I think that we are having a mentor meet with the students today in the evening. So I'll be meeting you over there together with Madam and Sir, SB Madam and ET Sir. So we will discuss the issues over there.
Sir, can we leave?
Yes, you can leave if you want.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thanks a lot.